in our area for May 23 for Porter Ranch and Chatsworth. That's just our area. Okay. Want to have you be aware of these issues because you need help out there. You're our eyes and ears, and letting us know if you see suspicious activity helps us out greatly. We're working on certain issues. This last week, we had an actual robbery there in the Porter Ranch Plaza, where a Walmart individual was putting his groceries in his car, was approached by a couple male blacks with a knife, held a knife to the guy's throat, demanding his money, his property, and of course he complied in fear of. That activity has been occurring around. I want you to be aware of it because you need to be aware anything can happen anywhere. Okay, we live in a great area. It's relatively safe out here than other areas, but things still happen. Like I say, we have the one robbery here. But just so you know, the suspects were later. This happened over the weekend. These suspects were apprehended last night. Awesome arrest. Individual officers. Actually, these individuals that were out committing these crimes have been doing it on a spree for months. And, it was kind of thought that certain individuals were related. And last night there was a theft over at the 7-Eleven. They're off of Zelza near the station right there, Devonshire. And which led officers to talk to, they canvassed out the area. They were able to get, like I say, a good witness that said, hey, there's these individuals you might want to take a look at. And he described them, described the vehicle that we've been looking for. And we were like, oh gosh, good. And it hit pay dirt because we were able to go ahead and take 7 into custody for this. And so, like I say, our officers are working out there. They're trying to, but again, we appreciate, like you said, the eyes and ears. It was a citizen that led us to direct, hey, you know what? They're in this area. You might want to hang out. And like I said, the officers did. They just hunkered down, lights out, and sure enough, they did roll up, and they were able to take them into custody with the knife, with the stolen property. They did a rollbacks. They found additional other property, which they know for sure they're going to go ahead and they're related to 13 other incidents in Devonshire. And like I say, these individuals have been capering around. They did the robbery here in Walmart, then they floated down to the mall area and other areas within Devonshire Division. Like I say, sometimes it's transient activity. So if you see something odd, don't be afraid to go ahead and give us a call and say, hey, you know what, I have this suspicious activity. If you can check it out, because we appreciate that. We appreciate the eyes, like I say, giving us, hey, you know what, kind of give us, if it feels odd, trust us. We'll go ahead, we'll be very professional, we'll address the situation, we'll tell them, hey, this is what's going on. We're, addressing the situation where people are concerned for their safety. And if it's bad, if they're doing bad things out there, of course, like I said, we'll do the follow-up. And like I said, this was a great case that we were able to go ahead and do. Our narcotics officers, we have, they're working the area. We had a good buzz yesterday for a grow over in Chatsworth, but that's another area I'll be covering later on, a little bit south from here. But our officers are working the areas. And like I said, I just want you folks to be aware of that. If you have something going on, you're seeing lights or electricity being utilized, and you're like going, hey, you know what, I'm hearing the generator run all the time, or you're seeing wires coming off the power poles, and you're going, hey, you know what, that looks a little odd. Call us, let us know. If you need to contact me, my email address is 27677@lapd.lacity.org. And like I say, I'll go ahead and take the calls, get the emails. The office phone number is 818-363-1234. 1726. That's from my office. So like I say, please be in contact with us, let us know what's going on. And email again is 27677@lapd.lacity.org. Again, 27677@lapd.lacity.org. And then the office phone number is 818-363-1726. That's from the main office, the Susie office. Yeah, like I said, I just got back. I've been out for some months, and my back is much better. I'm light duty right now, but again, like I say, I'm getting caught up with all the activity that's been going on. I know, I'm sure you folks are aware that there was a homicide recently too. That was also in the Chatsworth area. The individual was arrested, so it was an isolated incident. And like I say, I just want you folks to, in some senses, to feel that at least, the officers, the LAPD is trying to do its best in apprehending these suspects. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danny. Okay, we're now going to go into the presentation. We've got one more governmental update. Can you go ahead and...
Yes.
Thank you.
Forgive me, I came in a little bit late. I'm Dusty Russell. I'm with State Senator Fran Pavley's office. I am her field representative that covers the Chatsworth area and Porter Ranch in the Valley. I just wanted to provide a brief update on what the Senator's been up to recently. First of all, I should also say that we have our district office in Calabasas, and I'm easy to get in contact with if you have any issues that are related to state issues. So I just wanted to briefly touch on the 2015-16 budget. It was passed on time and signed by the governor in June. And among the highlights, we are paying down $7 billion of the state's existing debt. We're adding $1.9 billion to the state's rainy day fund. We're making significant investments in K-12 and colleges. And the budget also allows for $2 billion in new resources to battle the drought. The governor recently also established a special committee to address transportation and infrastructure development. The senator has been appointed to this committee. Just a couple quick and fun facts, or not so fun facts. Currently, about 68% of our roads are in poor or mediocre condition. And we're looking at about 3,000 structurally deficient bridges. Our state highway system is looking at a $57 billion shortfall over the next decade. So this special committee is looking at all the different ways that we can address those shortfalls. The legislative schedule, September 11th is the last day for bills to pass out of both houses. The senator has a handful of bills that are coming up to the floor soon. She recently had a bill to better protect victims of domestic violence and sexual assault be signed by the governor. Coming up on the floor, she has a bill that helps people with disabilities with savings accounts, and has a couple environmental bills dealing with climate pollution and groundwater issues. So I'm just going to keep it short because it looks like there's way more important things going on here. So if you need me, I'll be around. Thank you.
Really appreciate that. So you guys met Eric. He is the chair of our land use. He's actually going to moderate. We're doing sort of a joint meeting between our land use committee and the neighborhood council. So the board is going to come down and join you guys, and he's going to do the introductions and get us started. Once again, questions. We're taking speaker cards. So if you have a question, you can go get a speaker card and just bring it over here to Cindy, okay? Thank you. Give us 1 second. I lied. By the way, you guys may notice it's a little warm. Hopefully you got the e-blast. You guys can transition. Hopefully you got the e-blast. We've done everything we can, but they had actually slated the repair of this air conditioning. They had the motor in, and one in the classroom went out. And kids are the priority, so they got it. And so we're a little warm, but let's be thankful it's not last week.
you so much for coming. This is very exciting, and we're actually very excited to see so many people out here. I know you're all very excited to get to the presentation, so without further ado, I would like to introduce our esteemed council member, Mr. Mitchell Englander.
All right, is this thing working? Yes, you can hear me. Wow, look at this turnout. This is fantastic. This is great. Before I thank all of you for coming out, let's really thank the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council. I got to tell you, the men and women that serve on this board for you work tirelessly day in and day out at zero pay, volunteering their efforts on everything you can imagine that affects our community. They have a terrific working relationship with not just my office, but quite frankly, this neighborhood council works directly with departments, works with organizations and offices of all levels of government to issues that affect us each and every day. And they really do a phenomenal job. And I'm really proud not just to call them our Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, but they're each individually dear friends of mine as well. So let's give them a big round of applause. With that, I wasn't going to give you my legislative update, but I'm going to skip that because I'm sure a lot of you want to talk about the Olympics and other exciting things, but we got time for that. I'm here to talk about a project. And before I do that, and this is near and dear to my heart, let me tell you about sort of my involvement when it comes to projects in this community and what it means to me. It is near and dear to my heart. I work day in and day out to make sure that you guys are truly represented in what happens on every block, in every street, in every community throughout this neighborhood. And in fact, for those of you that don't know, and I'm going to give you a little shout out right now for some of, and I recognize a few faces in the crowd that were here working on this project with me for over 10 years. We've got Becky is here as well. Paula, Dave Hassan is here. Wendy, I saw a trip across the stage earlier. I hope she's okay. And many of you that we met every single week for years and years and years to get the school that you're sitting in built. And not only did we do that and get the school built, we literally went through and picked out where the electrical outlets were going to be. We designed how many steps were going to go up on the stage. Sorry, Wendy, one more next time. We did not design air conditioning units, clearly. We skipped that part. We also designed the use of this room, that it's open to the community, and did the first ever, to this day, still the first ever agreement with the City of Los Angeles, a neighborhood council, LAUSD, and the community, so we have a dedicated resource to use this school for the community at no cost on a regular basis, which is one of the reasons we're here tonight. So I want to thank you for that. I share that with you, well, not for applause, but I share that with you because it's important as we start talking about this next project. One of the #1 questions that I get consistently, and when I say consistently, I don't mean just about something that flares up in the community from time to time, or a piece of legislation or something we're voting on, but I mean on a consistent, regular basis, one of the things that I consistently get from this community is what's going on with the new shopping center. I will tell you, over the last 10 or so years, even before I was in public office, when I was the chief deputy for Greg Smith, I must have thrown out, I kid you not, 9 architects out of my office and said we deserve better. In fact, even this recent team, we've taken people out of the team and said, no, too vanilla. It's not what we're looking for. I didn't want, and what I heard loud and clear, and I listen often, a lot of you, and see you everywhere. What I heard was we didn't want a shopping center. We didn't want a place to go shop and leave. We've got one. We want a destination where we can go and relax and hang out and see friends and have events and have an open community space and have a community room and have something that we can be proud of, something that I call Caruso-esque, for those of you who are familiar with some of Rick Caruso's. I'm sorry? Americana. That's another Caruso project. For those of you who went to, have you been to Stonehouse in Westlake Village? there's a lot of elements that have been borrowed in the idea and concepts from Stonehouse. I actually went out on my weekends and evenings walking shopping centers throughout the region. The county wasn't big enough. I went to Ventura County, I went to Orange County, I went to Palm Springs. I even took a trip on my own dime where Hannah Lee and I, my planning deputy who's here, has been working tirelessly on this for years as well, went to the International Shopping Center Convention. You want to talk about riveting, excitement. 40,000 people go to that, who knew? But I was actually able to check it out, and what are they doing all over the world? What are they designing in terms of open space that complement communities, that bring people together? What are they doing in terms of concepts in upscale boutiques and open-air restaurants? What are they doing in little elements like bringing in water and fire and music and Wi-Fi and little places to sit? What are they doing differently? I grew up here in the San Fernando Valley, and it used to be that we had an open-air concept. I grew up going to the Fallbrook Mall when it was an open-air mall. You remember that? And then they closed it all in. I don't even know what it is now. And then they started just designing shopping centers and strip malls, and then Rick Caruso came along and changed, and it was a complete paradigm shift in the way people were thinking. But that still, for me, wasn't good enough. And so I wanted to come with something. Now, keep in mind, and let me just set the stage on what this means. This has been entitled, this project was approved. The last major approval for this was in 1990. 1990. So I actually don't have a vote for entitlements on this project at all. There are some minor permits that they need to get. They've got to come back, for example, for, which I would fully support, is alcohol and beverage for some of the upscale restaurants. Little things that they're going to need, but the entitlement for the project, the commercial space, it's not a matter of coming to us and saying, do you want housing here? Do you want retail? That's done. That ship sailed far before I got here, before, in fact, probably many of you even lived here. Or have moved since and stayed in the community I helped. But that was already approved. What was great is they came to me and said, despite that, we want to work with you. Now, a couple other major things have happened since then. The Shapell company owned everything. Like everything. Everything. I mean, they've owned everything. And they decided at some point, with changes in the family, that they didn't want to own everything. And they wanted to sell all the residential components of their company. And that's not what their primary focus wanted to be. That's what their legacy founder, Nathan Shapell, did. And did well. But that's not what they wanted to focus on. But they didn't just sell it to the highest bidder. They actually brought in a great operator, and I think we're all proud of Toll and what they've done, and they're stepping things up and really doing a phenomenal job.